It's a beautiful fall day here in Rotterdam, New York, where artist Julie Branch creates ceramic sculptures inspired by the nature that surrounds her. Let's take a look.
In thinking about what I'm making now, it's definitely a response to where I live. When I first started sculpting, I was sculpting figures, but I was also working in an urban setting, so that was my world. And once I stopped doing that and I was here all the time, I gradually started making animals because that's who I see every day. The deer, the hawks, the toads, the snakes that live around this house. I think that what I'm doing is honoring them, noticing them. I get really excited when I kind of have a face-to-face experience with an animal, and that's kind of the experience I want to create for the viewer, is that when they see one of my pieces, they kind of have to pause for a second, the way you do when you see an animal in the wild, or you should anyway, right? My mother would say I've always been an artist, that I always responded to things from the time I was little. So I've always been making things. I never really thought of the idea of being an artist as a way of life before. I ended up going to college to be a veterinarian, and I ended up walking by the art studios one day, and I ended up crashing an art class, and that was the end of my veterinary studies. And I ended up graduating with degrees in biology, psychology, and art. They're all just circles, okay?
That I can do.
Okay, right. So I was driving back from Montana, where I grew up, in the middle of a snowstorm, and I had my laptop, and my husband was driving, obviously. But anyway, I was just kind of Googling around looking for clay workshops, and I found one up at the Saratoga Clay Arts Center up in Saratoga, a 2-day workshop making a head, learning how to make a head, and it said open to all. And I was a complete novice. I've never wedged clay, I have never thrown clay on a wheel, I didn't do it in college, so I went and took this 2-day workshop, learned the basic coiling method, which is what I still use today. And that was how I got started. I built I call it a woods wagon or the she wagon, but it's a gypsy wagon type of structure, and it's parked down in the woods, and I can sit out there and watch animals. I'll be doing some research. I always study the anatomy of an animal, the skull of the animal. If I happen to have skulls that I found, I use those as reference materials. I don't try and exactly copy the animal. My feeling is that I want to create an animal as if you're seeing it from a distance, as you would in the wild. I'm not trying to create every hair or every feather, because that's not normally how we see things. Then there's a slow drying process. They get a bisque fire. When that's done, they go into a pit fire out in the backyard. So you fill the pit, put in sawdust, different types for different colors of smoke. You put the pieces in, completely bury them in sawdust, and then you build a fire on top of that. And the pieces that were all white when they went in come out in these amazing, beautiful grays, browns, blacks, and patterns, that I could never have imagined. There's a kind of a Renaissance philosopher who said something about an art object is a lure and is a container for that spirit. And I guess for myself, that is what I'm trying to create, is a piece that when I look at it, I feel a sense of the mystery of the animal, that when I meet it in the forest, there's that feeling of they have such great intelligence, and they know things we don't know, and they sense things that we can't sense, and they are fierce, and powerful, and they look at you and they completely assess you in that second. So I want to make something that makes a viewer just pause for a second and maybe wonder, you know, that maybe this animal knows something we don't know. Maybe they have value.